In The Sopranos, we follow New Jersey mob boss Tony Soprano as he deals with issues in his mafia life and his family life. One such problem which exists in both is his uncle Junior. Petty and insecure, Junior goes to war with Tony in season 1 but loses, avoiding death by getting arrested. Eventually, he is placed under house arrest, and the relationship between Tony and he somewhat recovers until the season 6 opening, whatever happened there, the shooting. In a recent video, we took a look at Junior's treatment of Catherine Romano, a woman who tries to get close to Junior, but he is pretty cold towards her. We discussed how this related to Junior's deeper feelings of insecurity and lack of acceptance that he is now an old man. Be sure to check out that video before you watch this one, as this video is pretty much a follow-up and we won't be going over the same point. Remember when is the lowest form of conversation. The issue of Junior not hooking up with Catherine also opens up another question. Why didn't Junior marry in the first place? It's highly unusual for a man in an Italian-American environment to reach such an age and never marry. It would lead to whispers in the neighborhood, questions. He was gay, Uncle Junior, being one of them. In fact, you would surely think over the years Corrado would want to be seen with a woman to keep up appearances, given how fragile his pride is. Maybe he was a homo and felt there was nobody he could talk to about it. That happens too. Of course, Junior does paint his relationship with Fran Philstein, his brother's former Gumar, as a kind of one that got away situation, although she paints a very different picture of it, saying he was like a stalker. The vibe we get from Junior in this storyline, and to be honest with him as a character in general, is that he always played second fiddle to his younger, more successful brother, and that would have generated feelings of resentment and inferiority. Perhaps Junior just didn't have the courage and charisma to go after Fran and lock her down. Maybe he never even really liked Fran until Johnny did. After all, he always seemed to idolize Johnny, and perhaps this sentiment translated over to Johnny's women. I think a lot of Sopranos fans have come across a question in their head as to whether Junior ever had feelings for Livia herself, Johnny's wife. The question is even floated in the show, with Junior's constant visits to the retirement community sparking rumors that infuriate Junior. What am I saying? They had relations? No. But maybe Junior wanted to have penisary contact with her Volvo. And maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. But I wonder if deep down, if Junior did have feelings for Livia, they stemmed more from the fact that he wants what Johnny Soprano had, rather than he actually fancies her. I know most Sopranos fans won't want me talking about the movie they made. I can't even say its name. But I do think its focus on Junior is one of the strongest aspects of it. It hones in on Junior as an insecure man living in the shadow of not only his brother, but Tony's hero, Dickie Moltisanti. There's a scene, for example, of Livia thinking the world of Dickie, and Junior tries and epically fails to win her over with a joke, instead embarrassing himself. And of course, the movie also goes into the fact that Junior was unable to function as a man after a fall, which really adds a lot of weight as to why he goes south of the border and why it's such a big deal for him for people to be making fun out of him doing it. And since we're talking about the movie anyway, as I talked about in a previous video, there was an earlier draft of the script where Junior actually had an inclination towards kids, but you don't ever admit the existence of this thing. Fucking nauseating. Honestly, I think there's more to Junior and his relationships than meets the eye. You think Junior's a little weird about women? It will be fascinating to see him sit with Dr. Milfy and discuss what's going on in that bold dome of his. His own reasoning for never marrying is not wanting to bring a woman into that kind of life, but a major takeaway from this line is that this was simply his way of coping with the fact that Fran didn't want him and went for his brother Johnny. But he did say that he was going to propose before Johnny swooped in, so whilst it is true Fran wouldn't have had him anyway, it might also still be true that Junior thinks that marriage and our thing don't jive. Of course, it's Paulie who says that phrase. And I think it's worth noting that Paulie and Junior are pretty much the only original mob characters who survived the show, if we don't include Silvio's coma state, which we're told he probably won't come out of. What, you telling me you never pondered that? Perhaps the show is telling us that in order to survive this world, you really need to have no family. But what is life without family, people who love you? Maybe the showrunners are saying that characters must ultimately choose between one or the other. Survival in the underworld or a loving family. You can't have both. It's not a stretch to say that Junior just may have never wanted a wife and kids. Perhaps he enjoyed his lifestyle, and it was only when his health started failing he suddenly realized the value of having kids who look after you in your old age. Of course, it could simply be that Junior never had the makings of a varsity husband. He was abrasive, petty, and rude, and may have been unable to maintain a relationship as a result of these qualities. I mean, remember when Bobby Bacalao's wife dies, and all Junior can think about is when Bobby will get back to work? Real lack of standards, his generation. Imagine being married to a guy that's selfish. I wonder how many women over the years came and went, thinking of him as a mean-spirited petty creep, especially when he's standing next to his handsome, successful brother. Although, to be fair, it does seem like he had a long-standing relationship with Bobby Sanfilippo, to an extent that Livia has to scold AJ for calling her Aunt Bobby, implying even the children have known her for years. They seem to have a good relationship, and it's very much possible that Junior didn't want for other women during their time together. It was only really after Junior cream-pied Bobby that we never see him have a relationship with a woman, and that would make sense, given that's when his problems with his health and the house arrest started. Junior ending his association with Bobby just because she leaked that he was a cunning linguist is arguably the most catastrophic mistake he makes in the show. Even he knows it, as implied by his momentary hesitation when he walks out on her. What was it worth, Junior? He cast her aside to protect his fearsome reputation, but who really respected Junior in the show, ever, especially after he's under house arrest? He swaps the hot Bobby for the calzone with legs Bobby, but that woman could have taken care of him as he got older and sicker. When I watch that scene, I'm just yearning Junior to just turn around and walk back inside, say you're sorry. He shoots himself in the foot for his image and pride, and you know how he feels about feet. Plus, Junior told Bobby not to tell anyone before, but she spoke way before Junior told her not to, so she didn't really do anything wrong. Timeline got fucked up. Whole thing? Misunderstanding. I think back to the scene where Junior stares down the sketch artist at his trial, not even listening to the ramblings at court. Here he is on trial for his life, but he feels it's far more important to turn around and glare at the man who drew him with poor likeness, instead of act like an innocent, confused man in court to help his case. This is a man who wore a suit to a phone call sit-down. It speaks volumes to the kind of character he is, why he would get rid of a perfectly suitable woman like Bobby, why he would resist hooking up with Catherine, because his image of how he's perceived is so important to him. He's so short-sighted that it's pretty sad. And it even gets to a stage where Junior laments that he doesn't have children. And as we know, children are fantastic, loving and caring, especially in the Sopranos universe. There is an element where you can understand Junior's feelings that he isn't appreciated, that he's owed. He treats his widowed sister-in-law with great respect, driving her around, visiting her, chastising Tony for putting her in a home. When Tony and Livia aren't speaking, Junior takes it genuinely hard, urging Tony to make up with his mother so he doesn't have to take this to his grave. And what does he get in return? Livia plays him, manipulates him. His love and loyalty meant nothing in the end. And you could take that statement and extend it to his loyalty to the life. It gave him nothing in the end. The same image he was so desperate to maintain, he didn't even remember it in the end, as best exemplified by his final words to Tony, when Tony admirably says he and his father ran North Jersey. We did? That's nice. Junior sold his soul for the mafia, but what did it get him? If his reasoning is true, it robbed him of a family. He also was always so bitter and miserable. He lived like an average pensioner and never achieved the respect he craved. He might as well have become a stonemason like his father. When Junior says, "How many hours did I spend playing catch with you?" to Tony in season 1, it's funny and weird, but it's sad in a way that Junior put in the hours of being a father to Tony, something Tony's own dad didn't do, and Junior wants that to have value now, to have worth, but it doesn't mean much to Tony, not enough to change the Malanga hit anyway. We've only ever seen Junior be loving to the likes of AJ and Meadow, but the only time either one of them comes to visit him is to kill him. The other one, Meadow, ruined the only time in the show that Junior actually had everybody's respect, when he's singing after Jackie Jr.'s funeral. He's the center of attention. The beauty in his voice is making people cry. He is finally getting wholesome admiration from others without having to chase it or backstab or kill, and this malignant cunt chucks bread at him throughout his display. Then there's Janice, who Junior always had figured out, but by the time she comes along to try and take his money, as Uncle Pat discovers, Junior is too mentally unwell to understand what's going on. With Tony probably getting whacked at the diner, Janice gaining custody of Bobby's daughter, it isn't a stretch to suggest she got whatever Junior had left. No one will remember Junior. Among the crew, he's a disgracia. The family he has left are vultures. There are no children to carry his name. In the end, you die in your own arms. It's all a big nothing. So what do you make of Junior's lack of women? And do you think he made a mistake of never settling down with a gal? Why don't you stick with what you know and leave your opinions to whatever the fuck down in the comment section below? And thanks for watching.